Hello, this is Jennifer, and I'm doing my assignment 2 for listening practice. I've chosen the poem of Kate Hughes, "Who Am I?" from the Stolen Generation. As I read this poem of Kate telling her story, I felt intrigued and wanted to read more to the very end. I can relate myself with the full listening of Alicia. As I'm reading, I can see that some of the experience that Kate was mentioning, I already heard these type of stories from other Aboriginal that had similar experience. But I also listened with empathy as Kate's story and experience touched my heart. Alicia, this is taken from Alicia. It connected with me as the deeper meaning of the sense of belonging in early learning for all, recognizing people culture with respect as first people on the land, learning together with children and families that Aboriginal culture and valuing their experience bring awareness in early learning settings. As professionals, we create a welcoming environment for all children, families with inclusive practice. Victorian early years learning development framework. At the start of the poem, I can hear Kate Hughes saying that she was happy with her family and she expressed how she was taken away from two children's home, asking the question to herself where I was to go. Separating from family and caregivers during childhood is not familiar to me. Also, for a child to be a slave, working so hard, missing out from a childhood. In this unit, we have learned about the anti-bias in early learning, and we saw how bias or practice bias damage others as an individual and in group of people. In our unit, week 1, session 2, there was a question: can we make someone feel belong without taking the time to listen to them and understand their identity, culture, background, and its perspectives? This question made me reflect deep on how I operate in my profession on a daily. Clearly, as Kate shared her story with those people who took her away from her family, did not understand anything about Kate and her family. We, as educators, are expected to learn from and build the strength of children, families, colleagues, and communities, and seek a deeper understanding into knowledge of Aboriginal people. We get support from resources that enable us to implement into our program that children and families may have that awareness in culture Aboriginal people. Suman, Harrison, Leach, Bradley, and Staplin. Kate spoke about her journey and how it made her feel. She expressed her sadness and anxiety of what is going to happen next, asking the question, why am I still going? In other words, it is so unfair, and she felt that she is not allowed to be herself. Who am I? She asked. With support from early learning framework, Menta reminds us that Domian framework of early learning practice is not only story to hear, but is the truth of child and childhood, including about children being, becoming, and belonging. Schumann, Harrison, Leach, Bradley, and Staplin. Different story listeners, do not just engage with stories, but with the tellers themselves. As I read Kate's life journey, I could never imagine the pain that she felt. Just because skin color, people judged. The story listener is trying to make sense of the story, exploring environment, people, time, event, and things. In case of Kate's point, it is quite complex. Without undo the without we cannot undo what happened to Kate and to other Aboriginal people, but what we can do as educators in early learning is to continue to be aware and discover More stories like Kate so we can share knowledge to children and families. Ways that we can do this by reading stories to children, such as Finding Our Heart by Thomas Mayer, is a heartfelt children's book that explores Australian past and build together to future. At the end of the poem, Kate said that she is proud to be Aboriginal, and what a way to conclude her poem. She had great courage to share her experience with us, and I'm grateful that she did. Thanks, Kate, huge, for sharing. Thank you.